presentation. Please let me know when I'm running out of time, because I have no idea how long the presentation is. So, the talk is called From Selling Food in the Streets to Working for Top Firms in Tech. My name is Alvaro. I work for Microsoft Azure. So I am from Uruguay, not Paraguay, Uruguay, not Norway, Uruguay, and, which is, as they call the Switzerland of South America. I like to call Switzerland the Uruguay of Europe, but that is up to your discretion. I mean, in Uruguay, women can vote since 80 years, in Switzerland since the 90s, so I'm not sure who is in the better position to call that. Anyway, I'm from Durazo, and why does that matter? This is like the Dubendorf of Uruguay, basically. It's in the center of the country. We have a military airport there, like Dubendorf. We have the Pilatus PC-7, like in Dubendorf. It's really Dubendorf. Yeah, we are 148 kilometers away from Montevideo. Why that matters? Because Uruguay is, imagine a country that is 3 times as big as Switzerland, has only 3 million people, half of that, so 1.5 lives in Montevideo, in the capital. The rest is just cow land. Basically, we have 12 million cows, 3 million people. We still rule the country. At least that's what they tell us. And yeah, being from the countryside in a very centralized country is like if you are from Solothurn and you live in Switzerland, like you don't know what to do, right? So the same is here in Durazo or Interlaken, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, this is from the year 2006 when I started. I was living in that city, which in Uruguayan terms is really far away. I will tell you why later. I was studying literature. It's really nice to hear my echo on that computer, so it's like I'm in a delayed brain mode. I was living in Durazo. I was studying literature and linguistics to be a teacher of that. My wife was working at like a distributor of cookies, cigarettes, you name it, for like stores. She was making $150 or francs a month. We live in one room inside some aunt's house, and we were selling ravioli on Sunday. How does that work? Basically, we went house by house in the streets, knock on the door, people will come out, look at you very weirdly and say, do you want to eat ravioli on this Sunday? Yes, I want 200 or whatever, because in Uruguay, ravioli are bought by hundreds. Because we say one person eats 25 ravioli, so that's how you go and buy ravioli. Anyway, now you know how to order ravioli, right? Give me 25. Anyway, so we will collect the orders, and maybe we had to make 2,000 ravioli over the weekend and go and sell them. Saturday was the day to prepare the filling of the ravioli, and on Sunday, we will do the actual ravioli and then distribute it. And yeah, just to give you an idea, we didn't have a table to make the ravioli, so basically we took the back part of the bed, put it this way, 2 things before, that was our big ravioli, put the dough and whatever system. So that's how you manage when you come from the third world. Which, by the way, Switzerland is part of the original definition of the third world. You can Wikipedia that, because you were not allied to either the communist countries or the Americans, so you ended up being third world, as well as us. We fall in the same category for some reason. Anyway, while I was doing that, a friend told me that in Montevideo, there were these programming jobs that they will pay 3 times at least what my wife was making in Uruguay. So you can imagine, like this was like gold mine of money, yeah? Like how to get out of misery, right? So I had to get into programming. I almost had no idea about what programming was, except for a bit of basic. I was a Helene baby. I knew that. I could set up Linux. Which is, this operating system that now Windows supports. No, the new subsystem for Linux or whatever. Anyway, yeah, I knew how to install SUSE, and I was a masochist once, so I installed Slackware as well. But yeah, that was back in those days. I had no internet access. I didn't have access to computer books. Imagine you're in the countryside, you have a library that is only for textbooks required on secondary school. Why they would have a programming book? And programming books, they usually get very old very fast. So there was no way to access information. So how can you actually learn to program? I had to set up some goals for myself. So I did an honest evaluation of my abilities. I think if you really want to start in whatever it is that you want to do, you need to be honest with yourself, not just say, I can do things and then just miserably fail. Anyway, I knew a bit of PHP, some ActionScript, and because I have very small challenges, I decided to create a map of my city. Back then, nor whatever the name of the Microsoft Maps are, or Google Maps were not there for Durazo. It was just like the highway that cuts the street. I mean, that crossed the city, but there was nothing else. And Aleph is, I don't know if you know Borges, but it's a place it's a story by Jorge Luis Borges, the Argentinian author, that in that place in the world, you can see the whole world, the whole history, everything. So that was my map, a very short, small goal, just see everything in one application. And what I wanted to do was to go around the Dubendorf of Uruguay and say, hey, do you want to be located on a map? So when people come to the city, they can just see how to get to the restaurant or whatever, basically what Google is doing today, or Bing. Anyway, the deadline, I wanted to have it ready for 2007, February, so I could get into a job. Why February? In the southern hemisphere, you know, there is the equator, then there is the other people down there, that's us. We start the year in March. We don't start the school year in August. So I was either keeping or trying to keep studying or get a job, basically. That's why the deadline was February. And this app will be a good thing to really learn PHP and ActionScript. You can already imagine what time of what era in the world we are talking about. ActionScript is relevant. It was good for learning MySQL, and it will become like my portfolio if I wanted to apply to jobs. I had no idea like how to get a curriculum without actually studying. So obstacles, as I say, no internet at home. DSL was only like for big companies because it was super expensive. If my wife was making $150 or so, DSL at home will probably be 80 or something like that. So you cannot pay for that, for sure. I mean, maybe you don't eat 1 month, but that's that. Yeah, so if you had a modem, we didn't. So no access to computer books, so you could only go to coffee shops. So what does it mean to be from the Uruguayan countryside? Basically, from Durazo to Montevideo, you have 148 kilometers. It's 2 hours and a half trip by bus, which equals 300 pesos, which is around $10. But then the McDonald's index, right? We have one cheeseburger is about $1. 2 hours at a coffee shop will be like 30 pesos, which will be $1, which will be a burger. So you can decide, do I eat today or go to the coffee shop to download some MySQL tutorial, right? Yeah, so that's your trade-offs, eating or learning MySQL. Anyway, so because of those constraints, I had to decide what to do at the internet cafe, very prepared. I had my list. I need to, for example, understand what select means, not only know how to Bing, but also what to Bing, find info about SQL. I needed to load it on a floppy disk, pray to all the gods, Saint Zwingli, and so the disk won't get corrupted while I try to go home on the bicycle with this thing on my hand, and wait until the next day to search something else if I forgot for anything. And I put like a star there because Uruguay is also a secular country, not like certain country where we are now. Sorry, we have this kind of freedom of no religion in our country. We don't need to fill in the tags where are you, like who you believe in. So anyway, I cannot attach my slides to any god or I will be expelled. Anyway, that point, I mean, this whole loop of trying to Google something or Bing something, and then I wouldn't know how to do a where in a select. Then I had to do next day how actually where works. That's not sustainable, which you may ask, okay, go buy a book, right? Why don't you buy books if you cannot go to a coffee shop every day? IT books, you can usually only find them in the US of A, and each book is around 40, but I remember the one I got back then was around that, the price. And also, when you are in those situations, you are completely out of the financial system. Like, you don't have credit card, you don't have credit scores, there is no way you will be able to buy anything online. Like, this weekend, we were making fruit salad with my wife and also peeling potatoes for some reason. And as I was peeling with the thingy, back then, we didn't even could afford that peeling potato tool, whatever the name. So just to give you an idea of where this whole thing is happening, right? So completely impossible, as we will spell that in Spanish. So is this the end? You cannot do anything, you are dead, get out. No, you probably know the hero with 1,000 faces. Now is the time in the movie where you're crying and you say, wow, despair, what's going to happen to Lilo and Stitch? Then everything ends well. All the stories have the same arc, except Game of Thrones, for what I understand. I never watched it, but I know people complaining on Twitter, so probably the hero with 1,000 faces didn't pan out. Anyway, Tante to the rescue, not Tante Rudy for the Germans, but every South American, you know, we have an aunt, like for the young people in the crowd, Tante Rudy is a German football player from the 90s, world champion, etc. Rudy Fella, by the way. Anyway, we all have an aunt in the States. So I called her, hey, can you get me a couple of books? Because I have no way to get in books here. And of course, I asked for the PHP 5 and MySQL Bible and the Flash MX Bible. Those were the top options, right? And yeah, she said, okay, she agreed and she sent it to me. So now it's time to second part of goals, which was learn PHP, learn about object-oriented programming, what even was that, learn MySQL more, and I was trying to use Flash to set me apart from other future wannabe programmers, which today sounds like, what even is Flash? But I mean, people, I don't know, whatever JavaScript framework is the framework of the day, or Rust, or whatever, there are some technologies that will get you apart or a bit above the rest of the crowd. Back then, Flash was that thing. So that was part of my strategy to get there. Once I had the app, and I don't know if there's somebody trying to enter there, dying, yes. Once I had the app kind of ready for demo, I applied for my first job. But again, how do you even make a curriculum? Like, should I write that I know Word or InDesign, or I need a phone number so they can call me back? I didn't have a phone number either. I had to ask a friend that was a doctor living in Montevideo if he could give me some money so I could buy a phone and then get a SIM card and put it there on the, I mean, not the actual SIM card, but the phone, right? The phone number. Anyway, I went to some coffee shop again, sent the CV, and just started like wasting time for an hour until my hour was spent. And magically, ring, ring, ring. The phone starts ringing. And it's somebody that says, hola, le llamo desde Live Interactive. Like, oh, hi, I'm calling you from Live Interactive. It was like a very big company in Uruguay back then. And they asked, when could you come for an interview? And I'm like, in about a week, because I'm a very busy man, for sure. Basically, I just needed to keep learning so I wouldn't fail on that interview. So yeah, give me an extra week so I can keep learning. Yeah, so I prepared PHP, MySQL. I had to find money to get to Montevideo. I didn't have that money. And find some nice clothes. I remember I was all in blue, like blue jeans, blue shirt. Don't go too formal, maybe they think you're a dork. Don't go too informal, maybe they think you sell ravioli in the street, so I don't know. It was a mix. Yeah, I tried to wash my hands, not be like white in flour, right? Anyway, for me, it was like a really once in a lifetime opportunity. Like I couldn't fail that. And in Uruguayan Sprache, that is what we call a maracanazo. I don't know if anybody speaking South American. Like we speak Latin there. That's why it's called Latin America. I don't know if anybody speaks Latin American, but maracanazo is a phrase that comes from when Uruguay, back when the world was black and white, we won a World Cup in Brazil. And why is this so important for the Uruguayan culture? Basically, in the same way that when you didn't have any nationality or identity and somebody say, hey, we have watches, trains that are on time and cheese, you can read that on a history book. That's how the Swiss nationality came about, because there was nothing to unite people speaking French, German, and Romansh and Italian. But we have some banks, so maybe it's nice to be together. Our government said, okay, can we use football to unite this country and have a thing, because we are not killing our neighbors in wars. What can we do to have a national identity? And this was a plan set up in the 20s. Uruguay came to the Olympic Games in France. We beat Switzerland in the final. Ooh, we are really cool. We are showing the world that we can also kick a ball, maybe try to sell meat. Then in 1928, we also won. Yeah, we are really cool. Let's bully the FIFA. So we make the first World Cup in Uruguay. And that's how kind of Uruguay got this idea that we win at soccer. Then the Brazilians make this super big World Cup, and they are set to win in the final. Just with a draw, they are the champions. There's 200,000 people in the crowd. They're winning 1-0. They just got the game. But this guy, which actually is from Ticino, Gigia, he makes the winning goal. The whole stadium is mute, and they come back with the trophy, besides being so unexpected that they were going to win. So these stories are very rooted in the Uruguayan subconscious of saying, against all odds, we can keep fighting and pushing. You probably also know these other guys, I don't know, but these are the Uruguayans that fell into the Andes Mountains, and then they rescued themselves after 90 days in the mountains without food. That guy used to be McDoctor when I was a kid. That's the Chilean guy that rescued them, and this guy turned into a race car driver because he lacked adrenaline in his life, basically. So during those 90 days, these guys had to eat their actual friends. Some people find that funny. I mean, for us, it's like a very deep, emotional story. And at some point, before saying, okay, we are gonna die here, nobody's gonna rescue us, they made sleeping bags out of the plane seats. Keep in mind that in Uruguay there are no mountains, there is no snow, and this is winter down there. So they make their own sleeping bags, they pack some food in some bags, and then they just go to, let's cross the Andes and save ourselves. And they actually did cross the Andes, and they managed to save all their friends. I mean, the ones that were still alive after the crash and 2 avalanches and whatnot. And again, this is a story that tells you keep pushing even you are against all odds. And that's basically how I was feeling. And why did I tell you this? Because I think you need to find your own myth. You probably have stories of your parents emigrating somewhere and they push everything they could so you have an education. I don't know. There are things that probably you can relate in your life, and you can find that emotional energy to keep going. That was, for me, the thing that I had in mind. I don't know. Anyway, the interview, there was a psychological test. I had no idea that they do those kind of things, but whatever. I tried to game the thing, I guess. Then there were questions about like regular expressions, stuff like that, and we had to implement a thing for a bookstore. I couldn't make the thing to display the actual catalog of books, but I say, okay, if they don't hire me, it better be because they don't want me, not because I didn't push hard enough. So I keep trying to make that F query to work. It didn't work. I called the guy that was interviewing me. He took a look at the code. He couldn't make it work either. So, okay, we both failed. I'm hired. Exactly. So before they finish the interview, I just show this thing I had built. And again, we never do things alone. I think also I mentioned this friend that I knew from Durazo that was going from the same university. This guy happened to know that guy. I don't know if they talked to each other. I have no idea what happened. The thing is, I just left. Then it was just like waiting and waiting and waiting on my bed in Durazo until, again, ring, ring, ring. They were calling me from Montevideo, and then in the most poker face thing in my life, I hear that they are paying 15,000 pesos. Like, this is like, blew my mind. There was such a big number that could be attached to money. It could be attached to debt, but I don't even know that to actual money. And yeah, for me, that was like, yes, when do I start, right? So first day at work, this guy comes to me and says, we hire you because of your attitude, because it's clear that you don't know much. So just go and read this book, PHP 5 Design Patterns, and try to study, and then we will let you commit stuff in 1 week, basically. So you can ask me a question afterwards about that first week of work, but I got fired, yes. The company had a 120-person thingy, and suddenly they decided to cut it in half, and they called me to HR and say, hey, you last, you first. This is like a stack-based system. Get out. So I was out, and yeah, I talked before leaving. I actually asked one of the guys there if I can, if they know where I could apply or whatever, and the guy said me, yeah, there is this other company that some people work there. Okay, whatever. I just say, can I use the internet here to send an email, because I didn't have internet at home either. And yeah, I just send the email, go home. I just lay on my mattress on the floor there, like, okay, when is the next train passing? I mean, there are no trains, but yeah, very depressing situation. And the phone rings again and say, can you come for an interview on Monday? Sure, I'm right there right now if you want me. But anyway, this was Friday. Monday, I have a new interview. Thanks all the gods again. And I'm hired and I'm working. 6 months or 3 months later, this company calls me again and they say that they were looking for people that knew Flash. And there I was. And I tell my wife, hey, like, do we really want to go back to that company that just fired me 3 months ago? And for me, I had a hunch that this was the right place to change or continue my career. I went back there. I started doing this project, which was based on Flash and so on. And the owner of the company, one time they called me again to HR and say, like, again, dude? And they say, hey, if you finish the project, we are in July, if you finish by the end of October, we give you $5,000. And in Uruguay, they have to pay every extra hour that you do. It's not like these first world countries where they don't pay them. In Socialandia, they pay them. Anyway, I told my wife, hey, forget about me this until October. I'm just like coding that thing, weekends, wherever. And I got it finished. I got the bonus, woo. And yeah, I realized that I was completely kind of leaving an end in what I could achieve in Uruguay if I didn't move into a government company. So I said to my wife, hey, let's try traveling in the world. And suddenly I ended up working in China. Then Leap had the luck or curse to bring me to Switzerland. After a year at Leap, I moved to VMware. I was a RabbitMQ core developer. From VMware, I moved to Apple. Then I worked for a pretty big Swiss company that is close by here, Migros. And yeah, everything we bought is from Coop, so I don't know. I worked for Fauna afterwards, and now I'm at Microsoft. You can ask questions about all those moves if you want. But just for ending, recently I wrote a story for Increment called Notes on the Synthesis of Labyrinths, where I argue that whenever we solve a problem, whether it's researching programming, fixing a bug, writing an article, whatever, we have this labyrinth, which is like a graph, and we only share one path through the labyrinth, and we don't share all the things that we tested and failed. And my labyrinth is not your labyrinth. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe it will be a different technology. Maybe it will be a different industry. Maybe you're not selling ravioli. You prefer capelletti or nuzzi or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, it is possible. I just know, or I acknowledge that I also have a lot of help from family, from friends, from different things that happened. So I don't like when people say, this is my formula to win the lottery. You were lucky. So this is how I won the lottery, but maybe there is a different way for you. And just to finish, Uruguay today, this was, again, 12 or more years ago. I don't know math, but you can do the thing. Now we have LTE across the country. We recently inaugurated the 5G network. In my city, they opened the technical university for more the countryside people. Since 3 years, we are organizing Durazo Conf, which is a conference that happens there. We try to bring people from all over the world there. There is Mariko from Google, Ana Laura, she's from the main newspaper in Uruguay. Marcia works for the Angry Birds company in Finland. So lots of people from different parts of the world. We are trying to bring them there. And finally, credits. All the illustrations are made by my friend Sebastián Navas, which is an artist, comic book artist. And together we are doing a book about the women pioneer in tech with another friend, Florencia. We got hired or signed a contract with No Starch Press. First time I say this publicly. So we are trying to make a book now. Anyway, thank you, and see you around, I guess. Okay.